Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto Two Blue Vortex discussion. Today, I wanted to go ahead and open up Pandora's box because ever since we got in the first look at Boruto's characters getting their new time skip redesigns and we got the first manga chapter, there's been a ton of outrage online over Sarada's new design to the point where the first few days after the chapter came out, it pretty much was hard to escape, especially on Annie Twitter. I've seen everything from Sarada looks like a hooker to this isn't something that a ninja should wear, but a ton of the comments are saying that Sarada has been too sexualized in this design. So I want to throw my cards on the table for this topic. I'm not going to waste time discussing the whole argument that this isn't something that a ninja should wear thing, because I literally grew up reading Naruto, you know, a series where Naruto was wearing a bright orange jumpsuit and Rock Lee and Guy were wearing bright green jumpsuits as well, and Ino and Sai both had their internal organs vulnerable by being unprotected via crop tops and wearing no chain mesh in those areas to protect it. Or Tsunade and Suzune somehow didn't sprain ankles when they were fighting, but Tsunade was able to somehow casually leave craters with her kicks while she was wearing high heels. It's called having a suspension of disbelief, where you accept things that are presented in a work of fiction for the sake of enjoying the story itself. Where I do think things are overblown a bit is the idea that Sarada is over-sexualized here, because she's showing her collarbones and showing as much of her leg as she does. I don't see a problem with the outfit personally. She looks like a teenager in my opinion, in particular one that's in fashion. Sarada is wearing a romper, which isn't anything super sexual. Women in summertime will wear rompers. Not every romper is skin tight like the ones you'll see on Fashion Nova, which if you're a guy, they actually got some cool clothes there. And even then, they have some that are form-fitting on that website, just like the ones that Sarada's wearing. Girls wear rompers at a young age, as young as pre-teenage age girls. You can go into a Target store and purchase a romper for your little sister or daughter, depending on what age group you're in. It's only sexual if you make it out to be sexual. The oversized jacket hanging off of one shoulder or worn where both of the collarbones are exposed to be shown, that's something you'd see Ariana Grande do, and that's the type of stuff you'll see in a girl's fashion magazine. Given how much Mikio Ikimoto, the Boruto illustrator, has pulled from fashion trends, from the way that he focuses on his belts and the way that he layers several bits of clothes on the character and plays with color schemes on outfits and design choices, are we really shocked that he took inspiration this way? Like literally Ada in Boruto Naruto Next Generation, someone who was literally in Sarada's age range because Ada was 16 in part 1, literally Ada was doing poses and posing on Boruto manga covers and rocking outfits that Lalisa from Blackpink was pulling off. Even Delta in early Boruto era Sarada were shown pulling off poses that famous pop idols were using. Ikimoto clearly likes to reference it. Might he have went a bit overboard with Ada and the Lalisa references? Sure, but it clearly inspired his art, and it continues to inspire his art. There's nothing sexual about wearing a choker necklace either. Girls have been doing that for years. Sarada isn't drawn super sexual where you see her booty cheeks or breast cleavage hanging out. We saw Ada in shorts in Boruto Naruto Next Generation, and people simped over Ada, and with Ada you saw part of her butt hanging out due to some of the angles chosen, and Ada was 16. The only difference between her and Sarada is Ada has more curves. Does Sarada's outfit border on the side of being borderline fan service? I say borderline fan service if you want to take it there, but only borderline. I don't think it's flat out fan service. With Shonen, which are mainly aimed at a younger male audience, there's going to be some degree of fan service in the series themselves. That's always been the case with Shonen, and it's likely not going to change. However, people calling Sarada a hooker, they're taking it a bit too far. In terms of fan service, this is tame, extremely tame, compared to what we have in other series that take fan service to another level. Which, interestingly enough, without saying the names, because I don't want to get involved in drama, but some of the loudest voices I've seen saying that Sarada is over-sexualized are people that are fans of series that have done a lot worse in terms of fan service, which I find ironic, and is part of the reason why I think this outrage is disingenuous. Maybe it's because I've read a ton of manga, not just Shonen, but Sarada's design for 15, 16, 17-year-old, it isn't even in the top 20 for designs in terms of fan service, even with Sarada's age range being 15 going on 16. Case in point, in one of my favorite characters from the new world of One Piece, Rebecca was straight up and down fan service when she was first introduced. She's 16 and she's fighting for her life all the time, and she's showing a ton of skin that leaves nothing to the imagination. Noelle from Black Clover is my favorite character from that series. But when we meet her, she's 15 and she's wearing a skirt around the same length as Sarada's romper. And in her character profile for the very first manga volume, we see her showing way more skin than Sarada ever did with her design. And at one point, we see her at age 16 and 17 flat out bathing, showing everything. As the series progresses, we see her outfits get more and more revealing before she turns 18 years old. Toga in My Hero Academia is 16, and we see a light-hearted nudity gag with her character. We see Momo in My Hero Academia, the same age as Sarada, literally showing more skin and having her breasts exposed. But hey, with those two characters, we'll say it's part of their quirk, so we have to overlook it. But at the end of the day, you and I both know that's still fan service. Bulma in Dragon Ball, one of my favorite series, was 16 wearing a Playboy bunny outfit, was showing entire butt cheeks at one point in the manga. She was showing both of her collarbones, like, oh my god, collarbones. And she wore a skirt around a similar length as Sarada's jacket that stops at the top of the upper thigh. Literally in some of the first chapters of Dragon Ball's manga, we see Bulma taking a shower when she and Goku are out in the desert, full-blown nude, and looking out the window while Yamcha was trying to steal one of the Dragon Balls, and we see her entire breast being shown, including her nipples. Orihime in Bleach was a minor posing on a manga cover with her butt cheeks showing and wearing no top, and you still see her breasts from the back because of how large they are, and she's put in some outfits that show off her rather large breast size, including at the final arc itself where it's an entire gag. Orihime's still a minor there. Sword Art Online uses over-the-top fan service with it going well above anything you get from Sarada's design. Daki from Demon Slayer was technically 13, but wait, she's a demon and she lived for 100 years, so she's really 113 years old. That's just like that trope of this woman might look like a kid and is wearing super revealing clothes, but really she's 2,000 years old. Fairy Tail is a shonen and goes way more over the top of fan service than what you're seeing here. Lucy Heartfield starts out the series 16 going on 17 depending on the chapter that you're reading. She's still a minor, yet we still see her with her breast out. We see her in revealing positions. We see her wearing a skirt that stops around the same length as Sarada's romper does. Inuyasha was written by one of my favorite mangaka, Takahashi, who's also a woman, and Kagome's around Sarada's age, and her skirt stops at the upper thigh just like Sarada's romper. And in the manga, we literally see her bathing nude and at times wearing outfits that are more revealing than what Sarada has on. Literally, Elizabeth from Seven Deadly Sins wears a skirt that stops at the similar length and is the subject of way more fan service than Sarada. The whole, well, she looks like that because she's an adult thing, that doesn't fly either. You can miss me with that because literally a majority of girls, they hit their adult height a few years after they begin their period. Tamaki from Fire Force is under 18, but we see her definitely be subjected to more than her fair share of fan service moments, showing a lot more than Sarada has ever shown with her new outfit. While My Dress Up Darling isn't a shonen, since it's more of a rom-com slash slice of life series, we still have a minor in Marin that's around the same age as Sarada with enough fan service where in the manga, when you buy the manga volumes in the bookstores, they have it covered in plastic, and in some of the stores it will even have a warning label on it. Some of the accounts I've seen openly lusting over Marin, probably sitting in front of their computers beating off to gifs and fan art of her, are the same ones I've seen dragging Sarada's design for being too sexual. The only difference between Sarada and all those other characters is that Sarada clearly has her mother's genetics, where she doesn't look like she's gonna develop any real sense of curves until she gets older, which, side note, manga Sakura actually has more curves than what you see in Studio Hero's version of her character, where she's just as flat as a sidewalk. But if Sarada was big-breasted like Orihime, Rebecca, Noelle, Momo, and etc., the outrage wouldn't be nearly as high, because we don't see nearly as much outrage with those characters as we do with Sarada showing her collarbones and showing her legs. But again, her outfit isn't sexual. It's literally something you would see in a fashion magazine, which is where Ikimoto takes his ideas from for designs and poses. She looks like a teenager. Would you see a girl wearing a romper in school? It depends on the dress code at said school, but I saw girls wearing rompers when I went to parties in high school. I saw women wearing rompers towards the end of spring semester when I was at college. I see my niece's friends wear rompers now. It's not sexual to call her a slut or a hooker because she's wearing a romper and a choker necklace and heels is low-key misogynist if we're being honest. Now, if you're from a super conservative background and as part part of your religion and you're used to women being covered up and the only part of their skin that you see is like really like their wrist, maybe some of their arm, and none of their leg past their knees, that's one thing. For instance, if you're from the Bible Belt portion of the United States where it's the land of blood, bullets, four-wheelers, and the wrath of Jesus, I totally get it. I lived down there for a while. I totally understand that that's just a completely different culture in that area. Same time though, it's a bit of a double standard much. Like we got Boruto showing his cleavage in the new design. We see his pectoral muscles all there. Are men and women the same? Absolutely not. I'll die on that hill. We're not the same. There are double standards that benefit men just like there are double standards that benefit women. But operating under the premise that a minor isn't supposed to show any skin other than the wrists and the ankles or maybe the knees, the point still stands. Keep it consistent. However, let's operate under the assumption that Ikimoto was going for the super seductive look for Sarada's character and intentionally wanting her to get boys everywhere reading the manga to have that tingly feeling in their loins when they saw Sarada's design. Congrats. She would be ninja accurate, which is what people wanted, right? They wanted people to actually look like ninjas. Well, kunoichi historically used their sexuality to carry out missions. They infiltrated using sexuality and persuasion. They would pretend to be geishas, you know, what we would call hookers nowadays. They'd use their sexual nature to target their targets and get them to lower their guards and eventually kill them. Matter of fact, if we go back to Naruto's manga, this premise was introduced to us in chapter 71. We have the academy students, in particular the girls, learning about what it means to be a kunoichi. They're told that as future kunoichi, they must learn feminine arts and womanly nature because it's expected of them as kunoichi. That's why I never freaked out seeing Tsunade and Shizune wearing heels or while they were fighting, and Sakura after part 1 wearing footwear that is elevated in the heels several inches off the ground instead of wearing flat-footed footwear like she did in part 1. Let alone that time she thought it was a good idea to wear a dress in the middle of the 4th Great Ninja War with elevated footwear. Sakura had a few outfit changes in the 4th Ninja War. You're fighting a war. Who has time to go through a wardrobe change, right? It's the whole reason why Naruto makes his sexy jutsu, and that sexy jutsu shows a whole lot more. In the manga, we see whole butt cheeks hanging out. We see the outline of the nipple on the sexy jutsu in the manga. Naruto knew that that would be an effective thing because again, men and women, they're not the same. I see a lot of selective outrage when it comes to Sarada. It's one thing if you say I prefer to see women covered up because it's part of my culture. I respect and acknowledge that. That ain't necessarily for you. It's another thing when I go through some of the profiles of people I see raising the biggest fuss over this, and I see them not calling out way worse in the series that they're fans of, and I see the common theme of she's 16 but she's got big breasts, or she's got super thick legs, or she's drawn super attractive. Some of those same people have some rather questionable fan art that they've liked. Some of the hot takes I've seen literally have me wondering if some of the people talking have been around girls or women outside of a school or a work setting, because as I've said before, in high school and in college, seeing a girl or a young woman wearing a romper, it wasn't the craziest thing that I've ever seen. It was actually pretty common. It's not like she's wearing booty shorts and we see her entire booty hanging out. Look, 12-year-old Sarada, I won't throw down with anyone on that. There were clearly some early shots of Sarada where you could see panty shots, so I do understand that. But this one right here, 15-and-a-half-year-old Sarada, this feels like it's a moving goalpost, because back when people were saying that Sarada's outfit when she was 12 years old would be different if she was 15 or 16, but now she's that age they said it would be okay at, and all of a sudden it's a problem. I think it's a bit disingenuous. Anyway, that's just my thoughts on a whole with this situation.